Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is the most eccentric, strangest, weirdest guy you will ever meet in your life. He was in the NBA in the 90s, and boy was he weird. A lot for years people say he was a homosexual, which I think he was. He would wear dresses and he would do weird stuff. He would change his hair to green, blue, red, gray. It was hinted that he was sexual. He never mentioned that. He said he was not a homo. He was not. He would wear drags and stuff. He would do a lot of weird stuff. A lot of the NBA players were scared of him. They had never seen a guy as weird as he was. He did play against. He wasn't on the Chicago Bulls. The Pistons threw him off of their team and they put him on the Chicago Bulls because he was so weird. They were scared of him. The Pistons didn't want him to be on their team because they thought he was creepy, or whatever you want to call him. He was very like an alien. He was like something that was not from this planet. So they rejected him and they threw. He had no choice. It was either go on the Bulls or go back to being a poor black guy in the streets. So Dennis Rodman chose to run on the Chicago Bulls, and this is from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was not really friends with Dennis Rodman. He didn't understand Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was a very controversial person. Did also Dennis Rodman had a lot of mental problems. He actually they actually had to save his. He actually went through a depression at one point. He started dating Electra, the girl that was on remember the 1997 movie Good Burger, and she tries to seduce Kel. Dude, very attractive. Most guys didn't understand how a guy like him, who was very awkward, just very awkward. That's what I'm saying. He was not. He was an awkward guy, and how he got a very attractive woman like that was not beyond me because she was very attractive. I do remember that his girlfriend or wife. I think he married her. I don't know. I don't want to get into his whole life story, but I think he was on Good Burger, and she's the girl that was trying to get Ed Sauce from Good Burger, and she tries to seduce Kel, but Kel was so weird that she actually injured her and stuff like that. It's a good movie. She was on Good Burger in 1997, and even now I think she's in her 50s or early 50s, and she's still attractive. She still looks like she's in her mid. She looks like she's in her mid 30s. She still looks good for her age. But back in the 90s, early 2000s, she was very off the chain. She was like every guy's wet dream. Every guy wanted to be with her in the 90s. She was the most wanted white girl in the 90s. Besides Britney Spears. But yeah. So Dennis Rodman was very eccentric. He was harmless, but he was eccentric. He played against Michael Jordan in the Bulls in 1991 in the late 80s, 90s. He was on the Pistons, and the Pistons would actually go against the Chicago Bulls, and they would beat them up, called the Jordan rules, where they would kind of bully the Chicago Bulls, and they would push him around and push him and fight him and stuff like that, trying to make him mad. And they actually won a couple of games. They won like 3 games. The last game, Michael Jordan, his Chicago Bull team, they actually end up beating the Pistons. But I think I'll get that later on. But they didn't get a handshake. They didn't. The Pistons didn't want to shake their hands. That was kind of mean. And Michael Jordan is still hurt by that. He like, they could at least shook my hand. They couldn't. As he's still mad about Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas didn't want to shake his hand. They just walked. They just walked off the team. They lost, but they were mad about it, so they didn't want to shake the Chicago Bulls team's hands. And it's a long story. But anyway, uh, he's been arrested. Dennis Rodman. He's been arrested. He's been dealing with drugs, alcoholism. People, thinking he's weird and all this. Not fitting in with the other NBA players because of because of because of his appearance and stuff like that. So he's broke now. He only has about $500,000. He's all that money he made in the 90s. He spent all that on just partying, gambling, women. He was living it up. He had the life. Dennis Rodman. He's not doing he got money now, but he's not a multimillionaire. He doesn't have $1 billion. But he's still living comfortably, but he has a kid. His kids are weird too. He's married with kids. His kids are strange. His son is an NBA is playing basketball. His son, I think his son is like 6'8". I don't know. He has a very tall son. I think Dennis Rodman is 6'7", right? So I think his son is a little taller than him. He's 6'8". He's tall. They're both giants. But he's broke, but he's not letting that stop him. And he's still eccentric. He's still weird. He has tattoos on his body. He's clean shaven and all that. He's a good guy. Mr. J here, peace.